Welcome to Wired Up Retro, Episode 4. Today we're just going to touch a little bit on some of the early 80s and mid 80s game controllers for the game systems from Atari, and Intellivision, ColecoVision, and some of the differences that have to do with handedness. Okay? So on my right over here I've got some controllers that basically are flexible. These are controllers that either right-handed gamers or left-handed gamers can use. They're designed to allow to put the right hand on the stick and the left hand for button, or vice versa. Now the controllers that are on my other side over here, these are specifically kind of geared for people who want to put the right hand on the controller. In fact, the very first very popular game system, the Atari 2600, had a controller geared for right-handed use of the stick with the left button for the left hand. And the reason they did this, I believe, is because, number one, most people are right-handed, they're not left-handed. So they want to have the right hand on the stick for pinpoint placement in certain games, like, let's say, Centipede, for instance, or let's say if you were playing a game like Missile Command, where you're directing a cursor to be in a specific little spot, having the right hand in action, directing that, is going to work best for the majority of gamers. And a lot of other companies followed suit. In fact, Sega's Master System control stick had the stick on the right. And this is actually the last right-handed stick that came available. Ever since then, pretty much all other game systems that had joysticks, they put the stick on the left. And the main reason that companies were doing that is because the genres of gaming were changing to platformers. This is a Genesis Conqueror 3, it sticks on the left. Platformers usually just require the left hand to be going to the left or to the right, and then the more complicated work is done with the right hand on the buttons. Also, the NES obviously put the stick on the left, and many of their controllers, obviously the gamepad with the D-pad, had the control being done with the left hand, and then the right hand was doing the button work. Wico is a popular manufacturer of Atari 2600 controllers, obviously geared more for right hand, and the Wico for the 5200 also is geared for the stick to be on the right hand. In fact, Sega also geared one of their trackballs specifically for right-handed gameplay, with the left hand being on the buttons. On the other trackballs, let's put it this way, Atari was kind of more geared toward giving people a choice. So on their 5200 trackball, you could use right or left hand. On the 2600 trackball, you could use right or left hands. So that was kind of nice of Atari to be generous like that. ColecoVision controllers are also generous. They're designed for use of either right or left hands to be used whether you're using their standard ColecoVision controller or you're using the Super Action controller with its big ball. This thing is pretty huge, but it is, at the time, it was kind of exciting, mainly because you actually got something quite substantial in your hands that actually had the ball on top. It actually does feel pretty good when you're playing with it. These days, unfortunately, these controllers tend to break down quite often, and they're a little challenging to get in and try to re-clean or to use contact cleaner to get the thing working again. But back in the day, the awesomeness of it was very apparent to many a ColecoVision owner. Alright, so we're going to head over to the table. Today we're doing a mod on this controller, the Sega control stick. This has a kind of a boxy top to its control stick. I've kind of gotten used to playing the games with it. It doesn't really bother me too much, but I'm figuring there are probably people out there that kind of don't like this, and maybe they want to put something on top that's less boxy. And what I'm going to do today is basically transform this toward more of an Atari type controller top. In fact, we are going to be using an Atari 7800 controller top. At this point you're probably thinking, okay, what's that going to look like? Well, we're going to give it a shot, and it actually is a very quick mod. It doesn't take much time and effort, and the parts that you'll utilize are few. If you do select your own 7800 controller to take the top off of, you probably want to select you know, if you let's say you have two controllers, try them both out. Oftentimes these things tend to start becoming inaccurate over the years. I have like 4 or 5 of these, and 2 of them are like 100%, but I've got 1 or 2 that are about 70%, which is obviously kind of frustrating if you're playing a game that requires 100% accuracy. So, you know, pick the one that's not so great in order to do the mod. All you need really is the stick, the top of this, to be removed. And so, yeah, we're going to go over that. We're going to head over to the table and we'll give it a shot. All right, see you over there. Alright, so first I just wanted to show you the materials that you're going to use. Obviously you're going to use the Sega Master System control stick and the Atari 7800 controller, and you'll be using a regular Phillips head screwdriver as well as this mini screwdriver that's just a flat head. And this is kind of optional. If you don't have one of these, you may still be able to do this with success, but there is going to be a point when this might come in handy, these pliers. And you're going to need some Fastenal 10 by 2 sheet metal screws. I just picked the ones with zinc finish. This is basically a 2-inch long screw, and the size is 10. So you're going to need that exact size. You can buy these in 3 quantity. Alright, so what we're going to do first is to take the bottom rubber pads off of the Sega control stick. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so now that you've got the rubber pieces off the bottom, you're going to actually unscrew each screw on the Sega controller. That one's already out. No, it's not. I was thinking that was out. There we go. Now we've got it opened up, and we're going to use a small Phillips head screwdriver to get these up and out. I'll keep these separate. So I've just revealed inside another screw that you have to get to with a regular Phillips head screwdriver. So you'll have to grasp the stick itself and unscrew that. Okay, it's coming. Got it. So that's now taken out, and this screw itself won't be used anymore. So notice you've got inside here, you've got this part of the stick, and it actually is this part. This spring is right here. It can pop out of place, so just be aware of that. This actually has placement in these little areas right here, and it is springy. Okay, if the spring is not there, it won't work right. You could not make a mistake by putting it in the wrong place. It only has one place, or one positioning. Alright, so now that you have that, we're going to affix the Atari 7800 controller top to the Master System control stick. Alright, so now we've got the 7800 controller to open up. Only has 2 screws, which is kind of nice and convenient. This is one of those controllers that can easily fall apart and cause some chaos, so you just gotta be careful. By the time you get it open, just go gently and slowly. You're probably not going to end up trashing this controller. There's an idea of maybe using the controller without the top, which I'll talk about here in a minute. Okay, so once you've got that off, you're basically going to try to remove this piece of plastic from the plastic below. Now there's 2 ways to think about doing this, okay? One way is to hold it and pull as hard as you can until it pops off. It is kind of suctioned on there, and to be honest, pulling it, you could easily snap one of these pieces of plastic off, which would kind of ruin the controller. Another way to accomplish what you need to do is to actually grasp that bit of metal with those pliers I was showing you before. I'm going to have to tighten it down a little bit. Okay, let's try it there. So, now that you've got it, I'm going to oops, went too far. Yeah, that didn't exactly work out too well. Alright. Got it. So you can see this is not easy to remove. You really have to pull quite hard. But once you've got it off, you're set. Alright. I'll go ahead and put this back together. I'm pretty sure you know how to do it. We'll have to affix these parts that popped out back into place. Yeah. I won't bore you to tears with that part. The idea I have is that if you have a wooden ball or plastic ball that could be drilled into, you could actually mount that ball on the top and then be able to use your Atari 7800 controller with the ball top. If you are interested in trying that, just be careful with the drill. You might want to use a drill mount. Come straight down onto the either plastic ball or the wooden ball and affix that ball top. Alright, we won't be doing that in this video, but you can try it if you want. Alright, and so now we've got the fastenal screw, the 10x2, that we will be affixing into this. And it's going to have to go in a certain way, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. Try to set that up so it's in the right position. Okay, we got this spring under there. We're going to take the screw and put it in the hole right there. Okay, and it's now coming through, and this is the part where you just basically have to get your screwdriver on this side. You don't want to go straight as possible and toward your 7800 handle. Okay. Okay.
Go in and just keep going. It's actually screwing into the 7800 controller top, winding its way in. Now you can see it's starting to find its way in there. Hopefully you can see that. Just keep screwing until you've tightened it down. And that's a tight situation all around. Almost there. Don't need to tighten it like crazy because you might crack something. So, another thing to be aware of, if you want it to be swivelable, you cannot tighten. If you choose not to tighten it the whole way, this thing can be swiveling. But if you want to tighten it the whole way, then it's going to be firm and not be able to be swiveled. Me personally, I might kind of like it swiveling, but I'm a little concerned that it might gradually unscrew all the way out. So I'm tightening it. You may or may not like it tightened. It's your preference. But just be aware, if you don't tighten it, it may eventually come loose, and then you might have to open it up and try finagling with it again. Alright. So now we're putting screws back in. You saw me how I put them in before, so I'm not going to painstakingly go through this process in front of the camera. Alright, so at this point we've got it all put back together, and this is the final product. It holds pretty tight, works very well. I like to hold it like this in order to get great control. It definitely will do a great job. It's tight. This does not swivel. Unlike when it's on the 7800 controller, when it swivels around, you know, you had the option of leaving it a little loose, but you know, I chose to leave it tight. You're going to be left with this and this little washer. Oops, I dropped it. Okay. So you can just take the washer and stick it there, and then just tighten this down and keep this in a place where someday, if you ever want to revert back to your boxy top for the controller, you'll have that. But yeah, I just kept it all together. Alright, so yeah, let's play some games. Alright, first we're going to try it out with an Atari 2600 game, Junior Pac-Man. Wish me luck. Oh boy. I'm feeling some accuracy here, folks. Definitely very good. Ah, that got me. Oh.
onto the Atari 7800. Alright, so now at this moment I've got the Atari 7800 hooked up to the hybrid Sega control stick for the Master System. This actually works as a one-button controller for Atari 7800 games. Desert Falcon is actually a two-button game. So basically on the first button you would be just using it to fire away at your enemies. But the second button is a special weapon. It can be invincibility, it just depends. You have to collect these little hieroglyphics and you have to get 3 of them. And once you get 3, you can press the right button, the second button, and it'll give you, maybe rapid fire, or it might give you a decoy, which keeps the enemies from honing in on your bird. So yeah, kind of a neat game. It basically has the 2 buttons in full function. But of course this is going to be recognized if you plug it in directly to the 7800 as a single button controller. And wouldn't it be nice if it would be a 2-button controller? And there is a way. There is actually a way for the 2-button games to recognize it. So I thought I'd go over this with you. You have to buy 2 adapters. This is the Seagull 78 adapter. This controller adapter enables Genesis controllers to work on the 7800, even on the 2-button compatible games. That's kind of the gist of this adapter, the Seagull 78. And if I were to plug this Master System controller into the Seagull 78, it would not work. But if you add in another adapter, this one's made for the Master System. It's called the Rapid Fire adapter. And if you plug that in between the controller and the Seagull 78, it basically will recognize now your Master System controllers, whether it be your Sega control stick or your Master System gamepad. So yeah, kind of a neat thing that I discovered about 6 months ago, and maybe some of you out there would want to put that into use. Of course, that rapid fire adapter is a little rare. It does show up on eBay from time to time. You can spend as much as $20 to $40 depending on who's selling it. And the Aladdin Seagull 78 is probably around $24. So there you go if you're interested. Alright, let's play the game. So yeah, it's basically a little bit like Zaxxon at that 3/4 perspective. And the idea is to just basically shoot at enemies, collect as many points as possible. That's typical classic game fare. But it does have a little strategy involved. These enemies are really, really hard to shoot. So part of the strategy is to get them to run into obstacles so that you don't have to shoot them. And when they run into the obstacles, they're not running into you. So good plan. Alright, I'm going to get up in the air. See, they are sometimes pretty hard to shoot. Here, I got him. Oh, I was going for the hieroglyphic. Okay, so now I've got 2 of them. I just need a 3rd one. Yeah, it'd be nice if I can get a 3rd one. Alright, 3rd one coming up. Oh, it took too long to land. There's the 3rd one. Okay, so it gave me points. No special invincibility. Not yet, anyway. That wasn't even a high row. That was just points. Okay, so we're going to run over there and get that. And if you run into an obelisk or one of these structures, you're dead. So that's another tough thing about the game is I just hit the right button. I've got quick shots now. So I did get a power up. It'll apparently last for a little while. It'll probably blink when it's starting to go away. Yeah, it's nice. It's working well. Oh, alright. Alright, roulette. I hit the 2nd button, but nothing happened. I'm not sure what roulette means, but it wasn't quite as awesome. I guess I would never play Russian roulette. That's the ultimate roulette. Alright, here we go. Oh, I just zapped every one of my enemies off the screen. Awesome. Anyway, it's actually kind of a fun game. I have heard people pan Desert Falcon before. I just don't think they really understand the whole game and how to play it. So, yeah, the instruction manual is easily found online. If you do own Desert Falcon and always kind of thought, it's not that great, give it another shot and definitely use a 2-button controller instead of a 1. Alright, so this is concluding our 4th episode of Wired Up Retro. Press that subscribe button. Definitely give us a thumbs up. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode. You can definitely spread the word. I'm looking for new subscribers. And, you know, if you just tell a fellow gamer friend that you found an interesting channel that has made some discoveries, I would greatly appreciate that. And also make sure to leave a comment below. And I'm looking forward to our next episode. We're going to be covering some information about the Atari 5200 Master Play clone device or adapter, and this is going to enable us to use Genesis controllers and also Atari 2600 controllers and even 7800 controllers on the Atari 5200. And I will also have some other information about using trackball, actually the Sega Master System trackball, which is known as the Sega Sports Pad, on the 5200 for games that normally wouldn't use the 5200 trackball. Games like Defender, and using that Master Play interface, that Master Play clone adapter, it actually works pretty well. And there's a number of other games that we can touch on as well that normally you can't use a trackball for on the 5200, but with the proper adapters you can. So I'm looking forward to presenting that. We'll also be in the future presenting some information about PlayStation 1 controllers that are racing oriented on newer game systems. Alright, so make sure that you keep coming back for more. We've got more plans, and we're definitely excited to see new viewership. Alright, take care.